Okay, so I have this theory, right? That once you stop focusing so much of your energy and your time on building someone else's wealth and goals and dreams, and you start focusing that energy back on yourself, that you will start to finally recognize just how much power that you hold within yourself and how much you have to offer, not only yourself, but everyone around you. Because what if you're not actually burnt out from working too hard? What if the burnout is that you are working hard for the wrong thing? So if you are someone who feels like you are wasting so much of your time and energy as opposed to building a life that actually feels good to you, I hope you stick around to the end of this video. Because in today's video, I want to share with you how I went from being that miserable 9-to-5er who would always dream of a different life to someone who actually started living that life. Every single day I woke up feeling like I was doing the right thing, but I felt like I was stuck in Groundhog Day. I am now the girl who gets to travel for half of the year. I remember the days when I dreamt of being a snowbird in my 30s. And now I'm actually living that life. I found ways to make income online and I actually am living my dream life. And I made a complete lifestyle shift in a very short amount of time. And when I think back to how I actually did it, it boils down to 4 factors. And spoiler alert, this video is not going to be about waking up every morning at 4 a.m. and hustling really hard. It's not going to be about grinding your way to the top. This video has nothing to do with that because I tried that for many years and it never worked for me. So I want to share with you the things that I did that actually got me here. Because the truth is, I didn't change my external reality. I really didn't change a lot in my external reality. I focused on my internal reality. And from there, like absolute magic, my internal life started to shift and evolve in order to match my internal world. And the crazy thing is, these 4 things are actually so simple. And I can almost guarantee that if you actually follow these 4 things, that you will also see a giant shift in your life. And by the way, before we get into it, if we have not yet met before, my name is Heather. And on this channel, I love talking all things about leaving behind the societal script and start stepping into a life that actually feels like your own. I'm also a huge fan of solo traveling and living an unconventional life. So if those are the kind of things that tickle your fancy, I welcome you to subscribe to the channel and also join my newsletter, which you can find in the description. So firstly, I want to paint a picture of what my life looked like before. And tell me if any of this is relatable to you and if you can recognize yourself in my own story. Because the truth is, I was actually a very, very passionate employee. Any job that I had, I showed up and wanted to do the absolute best. I had this obsession with always wanting to make things better. And I'm not gonna lie to you, that actually got me fired from 2 jobs that I had. And one, my employer actually admitted to me that I was a threat to one of the owners because I did a better job than them. And in their mind, the answer to that issue was to fire me. So yeah, I didn't have an issue with being a very passionate employee. It just turns out that I was putting my energy into all of the wrong things. And the other truth is, I did not know my worth. I would let people walk all over me when I wanted something and I wanted to be recognized for my worth and I wasn't. I allowed that get into my psyche and I truly believed that I was not worthy of something bigger and greater. I thought that I would just always be an employee for the rest of my life, even though that was not something that I knew deep down I wanted to be. I just really struggled to actually believe in myself. And the other truth is, I really thought that I was doing everything right because probably like you, I was following the script. I was doing what I was told. I went to school twice. I kept finding the jobs, the 9-to-5s, and I kept trying to climb up the ladder that we're told to climb. And I thought that I was doing everything right, but deep down, everything always felt so wrong. And I woke up every single Monday absolutely dreading the week ahead. I hated Sundays. You know, Sundays just come with that dreadful feeling. And I was in the exact same boat. I experienced all of this and I just knew deep down that I could not continue living my life this way. So I'm going to break down real quick the 4 shifts that I made. And truthfully, my journey started with reading the book, The Magic. And I know that that is a journey that a lot of people have gone on. They've read this book. They've probably put it down and not thought twice about it. But truthfully, this book really sparked something inside of me And there's a lot about that book that I actually don't agree with, and I still don't agree with, but I took some nuggets out of this book. And I would say the biggest thing that stuck with me was recognizing that we are truly powerful spiritual beings. So the first thing is that I got in touch with my spirituality. I became aware of the fact that we are souls living a human experience. And I started talking spirituality to everyone around me, and a lot of people thought that I was losing my mind. And quite honestly, I just didn't care because I knew deep down that it was my truth. And for the first time ever, I could actually resonate with something that felt good to me. I just knew deep down, this is right. I didn't have to question it. I just had faith in it. I got really serious about meditating every day. It no longer became about trying to keep my mind quiet and trying to sit still. I just welcomed the experience. And rather than going into it with expectation, I just sat with it. And whatever came in. And I started to just embrace the experience rather than going in with certain expectations. And another thing that I did on my spiritual journey in the beginning as well was breath work. And I started to learn more about breath work, and I did breath work every single day for 6 months straight. And this, I truly believe in my core, healed my nervous system. And now breath work is something that I talk about with so many other people when they talk about wanting to get more in touch with their own spirituality. How can they find clarity in their life? I always say start with breath work. And on that note, leading into the second thing that I did was I started to go more inward. I stopped looking externally for validation, going back to what I said earlier about how I did not believe that I was worthy. I did not believe in my own self-worth. And this was because I truly relied on external validation to tell me who I was and what I was worthy of. And I decided to leave all that behind. And I made the conscious decision to rely on myself for validation and essentially to become my own cheerleader. And in doing so, it started to turn into this journey that nothing that anyone said could really affect me because I knew my truth. No matter what anyone said to me or how much anyone tried to impact me, I knew my truth. I knew what my truth was, and I started living from that. The third thing that I did that really helped me on my journey was I became hyper conscious of what I fed my mind, because on a daily basis, we are fed millions and millions and millions of pieces of data that are meant to distract us. This is social media, this is the news, this is advertising. We are constantly bombarded with so much information that we don't even know which way is up anymore. So I became very aware of how much stuff I was feeding myself. And this even goes down to gossip, because let me tell you, I used to be the queen of gossip. I lived for it. That fueled me, that fed me. And that just goes to show what a low state that I was in, because now gossip quite honestly makes me feel ill. It is probably my least favorite thing to partake in. If I'm around people that start gossiping, I actually can feel it in my gut. It makes me feel so physically sick now. And that was a huge one that I stopped partaking in. I just realized talking negatively about other people was directly talking negatively about myself. And I actually started to recognize that this is the truth. What you see and recognize in other people is exactly what you recognize in yourself. So instead of gossiping, I use this as an indicator of what I felt about myself. I also became hyper aware of the stuff that I listened to, the type of music I was listening to, like all of this really just harsh music that's out there, negative music. I just stopped listening to it because I became so hyper aware of how that was affecting my psyche. Not to mention what I listen to and watch before I go to bed, because that is when our mind is going into a gamma state. That is when our subconscious is doing the most work. And I just didn't want to mess with that anymore. I became hyper aware of what I was scrolling through on social media. If anything just started to make me feel any certain kind of way, I would turn off social media. I became also aware of the fact that so much stuff is put out there in order to instigate negative feelings within us. Because if we are constantly in a fear state, we are easy to control. This is what started to click for me. And once I started to realize that, I realized I don't want to be controlled anymore. So I am responsible for my state of mind in order to not be so controlled anymore. And the fourth thing that I did, and I know people talk about this everywhere on social media, it became this huge trend, and I've noticed that it's died out now, but it truthfully changed everything for me, was that I became hyper delusional. I no longer was that person who said, oh, I wish I could be that person, or I wish I could have that, or in another lifetime, or if only that could be me. No. Why not me? Why can't I be that person who gets that thing? It's crazy the shift that I made from believing that I was not worthy of anything to now becoming so hyper delusional and believing that I can quite literally have anything that I want in this lifetime. And I refused to entertain anything that contradicts this state of mind. And if I'm around anyone who even has any sort of negative state of mind around money, around their worth, around anything, I will not partake in that conversation, because I genuinely know that our state of mind is what creates our reality. Even if your current 3D reality does not reflect it yet, it will start to catch up. So if you're constantly in a state of mind of lack, and I can't afford this, and I can't have that, and I can't be that person, that will always be your reality. But the thing is, when I really shifted my mindset and I said, why can't I be a snowbird in my 30s? Why can't I travel for half the year? Why can't I go do whatever the heck I want to do in the wintertime? I don't like winter. I want to go down south and be somewhere hot in the tropics. And to so many other people, that is such an unrealistic state of mind. That is such an unrealistic thing. But you know what? Because I became so delusional about it, and because I truthfully believed that I could make this a reality for myself, things started to line up quickly in my life in order to make that a reality. I found a way to make it possible. And I found a way to make it possible that so many other people might not even think of and might not even know is a possibility. But I found a way to make it happen because I became delusional. And I said to myself, this is going to be my new reality, and this is going to be my life. And I would not accept any kind of conversation that contradicted that. So I have to say that these 4 shifts alone, just these 4, are what completely changed my life around so quickly. I'm talking within a year or 2. And almost overnight, I started earning income online for myself as well, after years and years of trying to find ways to make income online so I could be more independent, so I could be a business owner and the entrepreneur that I always thought I could be, but again, didn't believe that I could be before. Suddenly I was making income online. I was traveling. I paid off debts that I thought I would have for years and years and years. I thought I was going to go to the grave with these debts. They became paid off in a year. Like, when I say the lifestyle change that I went through just by making these 4 shifts alone. Because the thing is, I got myself out of the headspace that is normalized by society. If you want your life to look completely different from what society normalizes, you have to be willing to think differently. You have to be willing to look like the crazy person for a little bit. And then soon enough, those people are going to be asking you how you created that life for yourself. We need to stop accepting what is sold to us as the norm. Because here's the thing, once I made these changes, my life completely changed. My brain fog is gone. My burnout is gone. I have so much energy. My nervous system is regulated again. I genuinely love my life. And now I want nothing more than to help other people experience the exact same thing. And that's it. I genuinely believe in my core that those 4 things alone are actually what completely changed my life. So I really hope that this helped you in one way or another. If it did, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. There is also a free resource in the description that you can grab that is pretty much about everything that I talked about in this video today. So if you want to grab that, you can do so for free in the description below. So I will wrap it up here and I hope to see you in the next video.